This house was also his, and they didn't raid that house for some reason. I don't understand why, but he owned both of these. And then King, was it King Combs? Had the audacity to like make a rap song like, Fed didn't even get the right house. It was like...
The film industry was rocked when Homeland Security investigators found explicit materials and something much more gruesome inside. Diddy's Miami house. It's worse than anyone could have imagined when it was made public. Watch as we examine the startling information and the upcoming legal dispute around Sean Diddy Combs.
Agent involved in the raid on Sean Diddy Combs' Miami home last year has now just finished testifying. Special Agent Gerard Gannon showed the jury items he testified were seized from Combs' Miami Beach home, including lubricant, lingerie, and loaded assault rifles. Meanwhile, rapper Kid Cudi, who reportedly dated Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura nearly 15 years ago, could testify tomorrow. Combs denies all the allegations against him. I want to bring in ABC's Rena Roy alongside ABC News contributor and criminal defense attorney Shauna Lloyd. They are live outside the courthouse. They're in downtown Manhattan. And Rena, I want to start with you. There's been so much revealed this week, in the last couple of days. What's happening in court right now? What are you watching for?
Yeah, definitely a lot to break down, Stephanie. The jury just saw another gun in this trial. It was also from that special agent that you mentioned who was just on the stand. He just wrapped up his testimony, and it was a .45 caliber handgun that he says was found in the guest house of Diddy's Miami Beach property that you see right there in a suitcase. The jury also examined photos of ammunition and what the prosecutors called freak-off supplies, including baby oil, lubricant, and rubber ducks. He also testified that a list were
rubber ducks. I can just hear him now. Rubber dub dub in the tub. Oh my goodness, man. Like, we've heard a lot of information, and it was very, very dark and just wild with Cassie. But now this stuff is about to get extremely serious, as far as like when they say he could be facing life in prison. You're gonna see all of this stuff come out, man.
Imagine a peaceful Miami morning being disrupted as federal agents storm into one of the city's most luxurious homes. Homeland Security personnel were there. So this knock on the door was not an isolated incident. Conducted a well-organized, highly skilled raid around 5 in the morning with the express goal of targeting Diddy's vast, multi-million-dollar home. The sun hadn't risen when the line of unmarked cars pulled up. When they reached the house, armed agents quickly took up position, executing a warrant that, insiders said, had been the product of months of planning and intelligence. They also, questioned how such a magnificent operation could be justified. Eventually, it all came down to substantiated allegations of behavior deemed too remarkable to ignore. Investigators meticulously searched the mansion's interior, which was a scene of total chaos with torches piercing the dark hallways. Safes were shattered. Bedroom doors were kicked open. Every drawer, closet, and corner of the house was broken, and even the building's strategically hidden secret rooms were revealed. The estate, which included a private theater, more than a dozen rooms, and large outside areas, was constantly watched and became the center of a nightmare. Witnesses close to the investigation claim that the agents they were operating like clockwork, disregarding any signs of luxury and taking control of sophisticated security systems as they looked for vital evidence. It was not only what they discovered when the time came, but also where they discovered it. In addition to the weapons, there were certain material items, some placed in plain sight, like a nightstand in a bedroom, and others in less visible locations, such as secret safe under the main staircase of the home, and disturbing that they seem to have taken experienced officers by surprise. As per federal law enforcement protocols, when combined with other findings from the raid, these objects proved to be an essential part of the evidence. These items, which weren't just lying around a celebrity's home, investigators believe provide a much more comprehensive and sinister picture. Among the most devastating revelations made after the event was the discovery of meticulously guarded storage areas, some of which included goods related to what the agents believed to be potential exploitation. These weren't everyday objects, and they represented a consistency to Homeland Security. Situations like these secret chambers, encrypted devices, and selective access to materials are examples of patterns that appear. Everything found followed these warning signs, which paved the way for other cases involving alleged exploitation crimes. Officials have not revealed the specific identities or affiliations of the items. Setting the tone for Agent Gerard Gannin's startling testimony in which he described the things as a coordinated component of widespread criminal conduct. Discovered during this raid suggests that a large-scale, planned operation was underway. But where was Diddy and, more importantly, how did he discover that you would DC wrote to watch out for that
This house was also his, and they didn't raid that house for some reason. I don't understand why, but he owned both of these. And then King, was it King Combs? Had the audacity to make a rap song like, Feds didn't even get the right house. It was like,
I called him Yeet Skirt at the time because it was just so bad.
But anyway, there was a second house that they didn't go into. That's right next door. It was bizarre to me that they only focused on the one. Maybe this is where all this stuff happened. And this is maybe the family house. I don't know. But you'd think if you're going to go do the raid and do it right, you'd do both houses. All right, well, there you go. I can't show a ton of those. But yes, as pew-pews, there's a lot of items around these things. Stacks of money,
I will say, if you want to prep, get ready for photo 40. And we'll get to that in a minute. Don't put it up yet.
The rubber ducky justice. There's now looking at a lot of substances and clips.
Yeah.
And, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. That's a crazy. Look at that Buccaneers logo. I'm just scrolling through for my own better. Wow. What is a high? I think I can show that. That's
There's
just a lot of high heels.
There's a lot of high-heeled shoes and a lot of
he really
lingerie.
liked a specific kind of shoe.
Yeah, rope. A lot of rope and cuffs. And this bathroom, too, was quite a moment because there's stuff written on the mirror, like in lipstick. It's like, you are a legend, blah, blah, upward motion and things like that. So it's like where people put Post-it notes on their mirrors to remind them, like with happy affirmations. His is just sprawled in lipstick of like, I'm an icon. So that was
and here's that rope he was talking about. Wow, they really are going for it. This is like 50 Shades level.
Yeah. Now, apparently there were at least, from what I was gathering, 13 pairs of platforms. Now, here's the thing that I've been asking myself.
A wireless flicker. I can't say what it is.
No.
And here we get into lots of loot, lots of baby oil.
We don't know what size the shoes are.
When Homeland Security agents broke into Diddy's Miami house, he was actually sleeping at a hotel in downtown Miami, according to those familiar with the situation. It should have been a normal day for the music entrepreneur who lived miles away. Miami reportedly got a phone call from one of his employees alerting him to the raid on his house just minutes after the agents arrived on the site. Insiders claim that initially he thought it was a joke or maybe there was a misunderstanding. But as more terrified calls came in and the entire extent of the operation became apparent, Diddy's calm manner quickly began to waver, and witnesses characterize his reaction as anything but calm. Hotel staff recalled seeing him pacing the lobby with his phone up to his ear and his tense face tightened. As concerns swirled, he allegedly made a series of frantic calls, some to his legal team and others to unidentified friends. Diddy is always 10 steps ahead and rarely surprised, even when he is being criticized, according to those who have worked with him in the past, but in this case, it seems that he was taken entirely by surprise. Other accounts claim that after the raid took Diddy off guard and left him frantically looking for information in real time, he made a last-ditch effort to get in touch with the agents directly, proposing, if given the chance to speak with someone personally, to clear up any misunderstandings. Although it's unclear if anyone involved saw those messages, the attempt to intervene during the raid adds another layer of complexity. Tough public's perception of his innocence or lack thereof. Was this a reaction from a man trying to manage the narrative before it became out of control, or one trying to cooperate? The division of public opinion has already begun. Diddy has been accused of a number of crimes over the years, and many have implied that he has a propensity to avoid and dismiss any issues. Thus, some people find his statement all too familiar. However, his most loyal supporters think of this as just another example of a powerful individual being unfairly picked out in an attempt to discredit him during his prime. However, the question remains, does his evident anxiety during the raid indicate culpability, or is it simply that he publicly denied any misconduct in a statement he released late that same day, detailing the emotion of someone whose life is suddenly being examined under a more harsh spotlight than ever before? He emphasized his continuous cooperation with authorities and said he would do everything in his power to disprove the erroneous accusations that led to the raid, calling it an unjustified invasion. This bold statement establishes setting the stage for what is anticipated to be one of the most well-known celebrity court cases of the decade. But how will his defense team manage the weight of the raid's evidence to disprove such negative conclusions? People have been asking, do you connect something like a cache of firearms and sex paraphernalia to allegations as serious as exploitation? Ever since the details of the Miami house search were made public, the relationship becomes strikingly clear in the testimony of Agent Gerard Gannon. Instead of claiming that these things were unconnected, Homeland Security said that investigators believe they are part of a larger pattern, suggests extensive exploitation, and the way these artifacts were found just adds to the narrative. First, investigators reportedly found a range of weapons, including rifles and handguns. Stored in a weapon known as an untraceable ghost pistol was unexpectedly found concealed in a camouflaged safe under a tiled floor near Diddy's main stairway. But it was more than just the weapons, was where they were hidden using encrypted gadgets and codes to lock storage sections. According to law enforcement, this sheriff-style organization is a common indicator in organized criminal situations, because these agents were evidently overwhelmed by the sexual items and paraphernalia, as well as items that suggested preparation and secrecy, as they reached other areas of the house, including the private bedroom suites. Without going into detail, Gannon emphasized that these allegedly included tools, films, and images in underground areas, some of which Homeland Security categorized as materials used to facilitate exploitation. To what extent were these materials regulated, since many of them required keys or codes to access? Access was heavily restricted, which the investigators say raises suspicions of deliberate. Is possible to interpret this kind of limited access in the courtroom as knowledge of misbehavior, which is a crucial element in building the case. Diddy has already faced claims that might jeopardize his career, though rumors and even highly public lawsuits have suggested questionable activities behind the scenes of his business, even though the majority of those instances were discreetly settled or vanished before trial. Because it's not a plot, this raid feels different, since it is based on hearsay or public accusations and maybe indisputable physical evidence related to federal investigators' investigations. The stakes are heightened in ways his legal team has never seen previously from a legal standpoint, because of its threatening implications, such as the locked storage facilities, encrypted devices, and hidden safes. Prosecutors can argue that Diddy was not just unintentionally implicated, but deliberately maintained control over these systems. Prosecutors can demonstrate that in cases of exploitation, purpose is more significant than possession, notwithstanding defense teams' frequent claims that famous persons preserve strange items for security or privacy reasons. Cite similar occurrences to back up their assertion. The next course of events will undoubtedly be influenced by Agent Gannon's testimony, and with speculation growing about how this evidence may affect the Elizar on what Homeland Security does next. But legal analysts say the government is trying to expand its investigation beyond the raid, and may look into other members of Diddy's entourage. When the government fabricates a narrative about Diddy's team preparing to destroy it, things become even more complicated. Fascinating.
In a wooden box on a bathroom counter with a gold puffy label on it. So jurors are really getting an inside look here at what authorities say they seized from.
And I also want to know about this baby oil, because it was rumored that it might have been laced. I'm wondering if they're going to reveal if that's true or not, because that's a lot of oil, man. They were talking about she had to have it heated up, and yeah. Because that right there would make a lot of sense, besides them just being glistening, if that stuff was laced.
His home last year.
Oh, apparently. Shauna, what was the prosecution hoping to show with Special Agent Gannon's testimony and all of these items that were found in the home?
Well, Stephanie, what they were looking to show are the elements that they are saying speak to the RICO as well as the trafficking charge. We found the guns, we found those with labels scratched off, serial numbers scratched off, so that speaks to the illegality of the guns.
Damn.
We also have seen, again, this is something else, illegal substances that were found in the home. We found other things, the baby oils, those are also evidence of the freak-offs that he was allegedly forcing Cassie to participate in. So all of these are elements of the crimes that they're looking to prove.
Different elements, a lot of different elements revealed there. And Shanna, Kid Cudi is expected to testify this week. How could that testimony help prosecutors prove the racketeering and conspiracy charges?
Well, when we talk about the racketeering charge, we have to remember that it is a small group that has conspired to commit illegal acts. This arson is one of the acts that they are alleging was one of these illegal acts. So his testimony about what happened to his car after the threats that Sean Combs made about blowing it up are very significant because it ties him directly to that arson.
With his freedom and decades-long reputation on the line, Diddy has put together a strong legal team to mount a defense, and they aren't holding back. Attorney Howard Greenfield, whose name makes prosecutors tremble, is at the head of the team. Greenfield is renowned for helping celebrities handle their most challenging problems. He is known for spotting flaws and painstakingly dismantling cases. He is joined by a team of criminal defense experts and crisis PR strategists who are all working toward the same objective, flipping the narrative and going after the heart of the argument. The volume of evidence gathered during the raid is one of Diddy's team's biggest challenges. Physical items like encrypted cell phones and hidden safes don't just vanish beneath the surface. Diddy's staff has initiated a reaction that focuses on gathering evidence because they are aware that they will be examined both literally and figuratively in court. Greenfield has previously hinted at procedural problems, suggesting that the federal government might have overreached or handled important parts of the raid incorrectly. And insiders are guessing that they are looking into whether the warrant itself contained mistakes that might compromise the entire operation if they can uncover enough problems in the manner the material was collected. They might be able to convince a judge to overturn it or at least mitigate its effects. Furthermore, Diddy's lawyers have made biased public remarks, claiming Homeland Security picked him out to use his description of the raid as an example. Behind the scenes, Diddy's camp's public relations gurus have been pushing this narrative. Two media outlets, presenting Diddy as a victim of his own notoriety. This is not the first instance of a celebrity crisis that has occurred. Michael, for instance, Jackson's defense team mostly used charges of bias and overreach during his infamous trial to paint investigators as irresponsible and out to ruin a celebrity. Although this strategy was effective at the time, at least in the courtroomette had a long-lasting effect on his career. Team seems to be treading carefully, but there is a significant chance that they could look to be avoiding the main accusations if they give in too much to the skewed narrative and fail to refute the facts. With the public already divided, Anya mistake might confirm Diddy's guilt even if he wins in a court of public opinion. Prominent trials such as these involve more than simply the evidence. They also involve perception. The statements made by his team are carefully weighed, but if Diddy is found guilty by the jury, it's a dangerous gamble. Greenfield's team says they can dispute at least some of Agent Gannon's testimony, and he has already filed requests to exclude material that he claims was handled inappropriately. What will they do next because they think this comeback spin is merely damage control and might not work? Will their statements to reporters, which they have characterized as being significantly exaggerated, be enough to sway the public and the legal system? We'll see what happens next with Diddy's enterprise.
There it is. I mean, this isn't as much as I was envisioning based on like Costco levels. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Well, this is just one part, right? This is just one
I was
section.
expecting. I mean, how many cases of these were there? And then what's with the rubber ducky, Kim?
There's just 2 rubber duckies. So something I want to just make very clear. There were a lot of these collections of baby oil and Astroglide around the house, from the sounds of it. So this was just one section of it. There's also, I don't know if you'll notice on the side, there's a box there of nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
Questions on that one too. But yes, the big thing this morning everyone was asking is, why are there duckies?
Well, I have a theory. He's making like these inflatable pools full of oil, so he's clearly just putting them on as display on top. I think that's what it is. It's creepy, it's weird. But he's clearly like, oh yeah, float the duckies on the baby oil pools.
I mean, the duckies have seen things. I fear for the duckies.
Poor duckies.
I have so many questions.
This ain't no Bert and Ernie action. No, this is intense.
So, yeah, white towels everywhere.
A lot of towels. I mean, I'd expect a lot of towels.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels level where the towels is what he's going. More nitrous on the bottom. Oh, that's a close-up of that. That's what that was. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the close-up of that area.
Yeah. So
more pills.
Lots of substances. There was a crystal rock-like substance that they just kept saying with other pills, and the main ingredient of magic mushrooms were found.
Well, hold on. Can we talk about weird clear bags filled with why?
This is what I mean. The baby oil was scattered. It was not just in the closet. It was everywhere.
And he has so much, like, just throw it away and get a new one.
And there's
if it's
Astroglide
leaking.
there too. I don't know if you can see it. It's underneath.
Why are they in plastic bags? Like, what?
I don't know.
What is, to make them more portable?
The question of Sean Diddy Combs' future is more urgent than it has ever been in his career, as the effects of the raid are already being felt and many of his business associates are reportedly reconsidering their connections with him. Prominent music industry sources have hinted that ongoing projects have been covertly put on hold due to his worries about the impact these accusations would have on their businesses. Among his next projects are alleged the future of partnerships and business expansion is currently uncertain. Although Diddy's image as an untouchable public figure has started to deteriorate and the gaps in his armor are widening quickly, it's not just the public perception. Even though Diddy has not been arrested, legal experts in the country are already evaluating the case's strength. In the worst scenario, this might lead to criminal fines or even more issues down the road. Cases involving exploitation don't always rely on security measures. One legal analyst said, adding that the amount of evidence recovered and security agent Gannon's testimony give federal attorneys powerful tools. While some law enforcement officials think this might lead to criminal charges, others contend that the physical evidence, especially witness accounts and items, like those purportedly found in Diddy's house band, prove its case in court. This case may lead to civil lawsuit, which Diddy has dealt with on multiple occasions in the past. Analogies to other celebrity controversies, including R. Kelly's early legal issues, have unavoidably resulted from this. Even if his impenetrable career was far away and a distant storm was approaching, that is, until the onslaught of charges finally caught up with him. There are undeniable parallels between the two people who held immense control in their respective fields. Both of them denied any responsibility, but the evidence presented to them raised more questions than it did answers. Although each case is different, and Diddy's future is still up in the air. The publicity surrounding this raid has already positioned him with individuals whose career changed permanently after legal problems arose. And understandably, there are disagreements among fans and the media. Responses on social media vary from fervent admirers hailing Diddy as the victim of excessive government intervention to critics dissecting every facet of information with clear rage hashtags in his favor briefly gained traction, but it was quickly supplanted with passionate rumors regarding the raid's details. This is the beginning of a shift in how some fans view him. On the other side, the media has been relentless in its coverage, fabricating dramatic headlines and presenting him as someone associated with darker, more troubling topics rather than as the polished icon who dominated hip-hop. The most crucial question of all is what would happen in the long term. Even if Diddy were to escape criminal punishment, investigative media go further into Diddy's past in an attempt to draw links and present a more complete picture. The music and fashion tycoon, who always maintained a perfect public persona, is fighting to restore his reputation after accusations have already tarnished it. Concert engagements, business sponsorships, and future partnerships are all at stake, as one public relations expert said. Brand damage ultimately comes down to perception rather than guilt, and perception turns into reality in the court of public opinion. What's probably going to occur next in this unfolding scenario is Homeland Security has stated that their investigation is far from over, and that there may be additional subpoenas, testimony, and maybe new legal developments as Diddy's team attempts to control the narrative. The case is starting to look more than just a one-man show. It raises concerns about the responsibility of celebrity culture and the rules or reputations that some celebrities believe they are exempt from. What does this signify? In addition to this case casts doubt on Diddy, as well as the indisputable reputation of celebrity authority. And if the allegations are true, it might set a new benchmark for how celebrities handle consequences, regardless of their fame or influence. But is this an act of accountability, or a premeditated overthrow? Do you think the celebrity system is currently having problems, immunity, or is this just another unequal treatment of a prominent individual? We would like to know what you think. Then hit the comments.